Hi everyone, Bustany Bricks Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Weeknd album, Dawn FM. This is a brand new LP from vocalist and songwriter-producer to Abel, aka The Weeknd. His fifth studio album so far, as it follows his hit record After Hours from 2020, which saw him make a more transformative shift toward a classic synth-pop sound. A real 80s vibe, which Abel is far from being the first artist to try to recapture, but he certainly did put his own spin on it, creating some pretty huge ripples in the mainstream, with some of his pop boy contemporaries trying to recreate the success of hit songs like Save Your Tears and Blinding Lights. And now reflecting on it, even though After Hours was a significant change of pace stylistically for Abel, Dawn FM sounds like the completion of that transition. It's also proof After Hours wasn't just restless creativity driving Abel in some random direction. After all, recently on Twitter, he did make mention of the fact that we are in the midst of a new trilogy now, with this record being the second part of it. So yeah, After Hours was in fact laying the groundwork for something that is now bigger, more conceptual. Dawn FM is really signifying the dawn of a new era for Abel, and the record I think is grander in scope than some people are giving it credit for too. Abel's not just dabbling in a retro pop style on this record, but bringing it back with a sleek modern punch, with more attention to stylistic detail too. There are some passages instrumentally on this LP that remind me of acts like Depeche Mode or orchestral maneuvers in the dark. Also, the musical backbone of Out of Time is based on a classic Japanese city pop sample too. Abel's love of Daft Punk and dance music is shining brighter on this record than it ever has in the past too, even on Starboy. He also hasn't been nodding this hard in the direction of Michael Jackson since he dropped his cover of Dirty Diana like 10 years ago. Finally, you can really hear two of the most consistent names involved in the writing side and production side on this record are Max Martin, pop legend Max Martin, and Daniel Lopatin, aka One of Tricks Point Never. And with those two on your side, how could you not end up with an album that has fantastic soundcraft, a dark vibe, a concept, but also hits hard like some of the biggest pop anthems of the 2000s. I know this may sound pretentious, but Dawn FM is not just a pop album, but a pop experience. At least that's clearly what it's shooting for. And I think this record mostly achieves that goal, with loads of vivid cinematic instrumentation, a kind of cute, cultish, dystopian radio theme hosted by none other than Jim Carrey. There's also a flow to this track list that sees many of its songs segueing into each other too. It's pretty clear Abel and Daniel were looking at this project as holistically as possible, and the result may be that there's less single power on this record than there was on After Hours, but I still think it made for a better overall experience, especially in the first half, which is packed with highlights. There's the entrancing opener that sounds like I'm about to join some kind of electro cult. Then we get the equally moody and groovy Gasoline, where Abel delivers these kind of deep, semi-deadpan lead vocals on his verses, which is a refreshing change of pace and sounds like something out of a track you'd hear playing at an old goth club. Following this, we have the bittersweet How Do I Make You Love Me, which has some really sugary chord changes playing against a lot of detailed synth work, builds up a lot of tension before we hit this righteous galloping chorus. The lead single to this album, Take My Breath, I thought was okay on first listen. The chorus really popped, but I wasn't entirely sold on the song's lyrics. I saw the fire in your eyes. I saw the fire when I look into your eyes. I don't think is like the strongest starting line, but I do love the extended dance version of the song on the album. The driving grooves and Daft Punk love ring through beautifully, and it just makes the core song feel that much more gratifying when it does eventually hit. Now, does Sacrifice not have one of the sickest grooves of the year? Isn't it like the first month of the year? I will end you. The vocal melodies on this track also call back to, very MJ Thriller era kind of vibe, but combine that with some very lush and glorious French house. The heart-wrenching Quincy Jones interlude on the record ushers in a different sound and vibe in the track list. Things really begin to smooth out instrumentally. We get more ballads. The song Out of Time is beautiful, just pure bliss, city pop magic all over the place. This sound, this style is somehow just a perfect fit in this track list. Abel also complements it with just some great vocal work too, and a story about being too late to recapture a love. I'm also loving the song Here We Go Again with Tyler, the Creator. The track very much about being in a better place than your ex is and kind of laughing at their position while you're riding high and being successful with a better person now. Tyler lyrically backs up the total a-hole attitude of the song with mentions of a prenup. There's a lot of Kanye energy coming off his verse, even if it is short. Now, from this point, I think Dawn FM does continue to dish out good tracks, but I don't think the flow is as steady in its footing as everything else up until this point. The track Every Angel is Terrifying does add to the radio concept of the record, but not really in a complimentary way, with the stunning build in the first half of the track eventually giving way to a jarring transition into this pretend radio ad that sounds like something really hokey out of a bad Black Mirror episode. Meanwhile, Starry Eyes does have some great, huge panoramic synthesizers, some spotlit vocals as well, but the song is a little one-note, very middling. The whole track feels like a mere extension of the song just before it, and the Lil Wayne appearance in the second half of I Heard You're Married is really one of his worst features in a minute. His flow does not complement the beat at all, and I really could have gone the rest of my life without hearing, I bet he treats you like Virgin Mary, you like it dirty, and I'm Dirty Harry. Like, fuck that, where the love at, tell hubby I'll kill him, no hubcap. So, yeah, these tracks are not, the best, but in the second half of the LP we still do get the very groovy Best Friends, which might have one of the louder and more one-dimensional instrumentals on the record, but still, there's a lot of detail in the lyrics on this one. The sexual and emotional tension is huge, with the track being about the push and pull of a toxic relationship, needing to get out of it, but still wanting that friendship, still wanting that sexual connection too, but then as you kind of get closer to that, friend-zoning somebody, still wanting that physical connection, you're feeling that pull back into the relationship once again. Then the need for distance returns. It's just sourness all around. There's a chilling chorus on Don't Break My Heart that hits pretty hard too. And then finally, Less Than Zero dishes out some peppy and bubbly synth pop that finishes things on a more positive, upbeat note, and I think sets things up for the next section of this current trilogy. The acoustic transition at the end is quite nice too, and I like Jim Carrey's outro on the record. I mean, the dystopian poetry he brings to the table is pretty effective. So yeah, overall, Dawn FM I thought was a very good, very impressive pop album with dynamic, versatile, and conceptual production. There's a grandiosity to it as well. Again, I think this album sounds like a movie. Abel is very much world building on this project and doing so very well. He has some great songwriting here, some cool vocal switch-ups here and there as well. I think the first half is quite a bit stronger than the second half of the record, but still, as an overall experience, I think Dawn FM is quite good and easily going to be one of the better pop records we're going to hear this year. I'm feeling a strong 7 to a light 8 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. And yeah, The Weeknd, Dawn FM, forever.